I'm Eric Sims. I'm the general manager of presentations for Center Theater Group. And I had come previously from LA's intimate theater scene. In 2010, the Hollywood Fringe Festival was introduced. And to my embarrassment, I know very little about this, even though I've made my career as a theater practitioner in Los Angeles. So I'm really excited today to welcome our guests so that I can learn more, and I think we can all learn more about the Fringe Festival and what it means to produce and to present independent theater today in Los Angeles, which is, while not known for its theater community, has a robust and long-standing theater of a history of really kind of rich and exciting theatrical work, and where that is today and how Fringe kind of is at the center of that. So that's what I'd love to discuss today. John is here nodding along, and I'm sure we'll jump in if I go wildly off track. But I'd love to introduce Ra'Shawn and Carmella. So, Ra'Shawn?
My name is Ra'Shawn Durell. I am a writer and director that's submitting a project to the Hollywood Fringe Festival this year. I've been in LA for about 15 years now, writing and directing and acting in theater and film. And yeah, I came here from Manassas, Virginia, so I'm East Coast boy. And now I guess after 15 years I'm a Californian, but I've been here for a while and now been a part
Is
of the
there an
Fringe
official cutoff
Festival.
from being in California? Just out of curiosity,
So
just to,
my wife and I, Laura and I, always say 7 years after you move to Los Angeles, you move to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 7 years. Okay. I just went to my first Dodger game like a year ago,
Yeah,
so it took me 15
there's
years.
there's a separate conversation about what it means to move to LA. But yes, I think 7 years is when you stop just saying all the time that you're moving home next year.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm here. I've been a part of the Fringe Festival as an actor several times, and this is my first time as a producer. So
Carmel?
Hi, I'm Carmella Diaz-Lolar. I am an actor for the first time in the Fringe Festival. I have been in LA for 17 years, so I'm official. Um, me and Rashawn went to college together. We went to AMDA, which is an acting conservatory in Hollywood. So that's how we met. And I have been acting kind of here and there, but primarily I'm a makeup artist. But if Rashawn's like, hey, I have a script for you, I'm an actor. So that's how I've been involved with Fringe and, of course, with Rashawn as well, other than being friends.
And so, Rashawn, you've acted in Fringe before, but this is your first show you're actually producing.
yes, that's
And
correct.
you're the writer as well, right?
I am the writer. Yes.
Are you directing as well, or is there another director?
I'm the main director, and there's also a few people in the ensemble that are helping co-direct. Because too many hats sometimes you can't wear everything at once. So we've
but I mean, but your piece is particularly like immersive. I mean, it kind of requires several directors because it's almost. Could you just go into what the piece
Hey,
is and
hold on.
why it's
Give me a
different?
second here, John. Jesus Christ. There's a flow. There's a flow here. Just tell us about the show.
yes, the show is called the Server Slasher Massacre. It is a horror comedy about a group of waiters in LA who become the target of a serial killer. I myself have been a bartender and a waiter for some time now, and I'm also a huge obsessive lover of horror, especially slashers. And I thought the two chaotic worlds collided in a really fun way. And I had never really seen a full out slasher on stage. And I thought that was something that could be so fun and immersive for an audience to go along for that ride and stage chases and also be thrown into the chaos of a dinner shift in a restaurant. And a lot of those things presented a really fun challenge to mount. And it has been an insane challenge, but it's been so fun and it's a tight 60-minute show. We're in and out. It's bloody, it's fun, but there's also a bit of a message about what it means to survive here in Los Angeles.
And Carmela, who are you in the piece?
I play Tia. I'm the lead server. So I feel like I'm playing Rashawn, basically, in the piece.
Are you the final girl?
I guess you would have to come see it to find
Ah, see, I
out.
like that. I like
Spoilers.
it. So talk about the immersive quality of it. Tell me, talk about like how you've kind of staged it in an immersive way, and first of all, what the word immersive means to you in this context, and then how you have staged it in a way that you consider to be immersive.
So we are at the Zephyr Theater in Los Angeles off of Melrose. It's a 74-seat intimate theater that is three-fourths thrust. So there's a bit of audience on both sides and in front of you. It's a long theater and somewhat narrow, and so the action is kind of almost in the audience's laps. And I thought, bursting out of the kitchen into the stage was a really great way to put people in the stress of that environment of a dinner rush, as well as the moments when the killer reveals themselves and the victims are kind of running for their lives. It's a really fun way to make the audience feel like they're a part of it. There are a few surprises that I don't want to spoil about how we staged those chases, but there's a lot of entrances and exits that the audience might not be aware of, and places that the killer will reveal themselves that really makes it this really intimate, immersive experience that, as close as possible, puts you in their shoes for both the serving and the slashing.
Yeah. And when's your first performance? You have not had a first performance yet, have you? Or have you had
We
a show?
have not. As of this recording, our preview is June 5th, Thursday,
Got
June
it.
5th.
Got it.
And then we have 6 more performances throughout the month of June.
Got it. Because I was going to ask Carmella what it's like, kind of as an actor, doing this kind of show so in such proximity to the audience. Or what do you think it'll be like?
I love doing this type of theater. I feel like I've directed something like a long time ago in college, and I feel like I always wanted to, if I were to do it again, I would want to always have it immersive, because I think as an audience member, there's just something so fun about going into it and not knowing what you're going to expect. Because, if you go to just like any normal show, you're sitting in a seat for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and you're just looking straight on. But I think if you have the precursor of knowing it's immersive, you're kind of on your toes. And I think for horror, there's something about that. Ra'Shawn wrote and directed another horror show 2 years ago, and it was also immersive. So I think now I'm kind of used to it and I like expect it. But I think it's also like audiences that are going to come back from that first show to watch this one. They're already on their toes about it, which is kind of fun. I think a lot of audience members think they're going to like get touched by a scary ghost or a scary figure, or like we're going to splash them with water, which we know we can't do. But there's something so fun about them not expecting us to, pop out of the wings or, touch them on the shoulder or whatever we're going to do. There's something just like really fun about that.
And the last time you guys did a horror show, what would you say was the most surprising thing that happened in your relationship with the audience?
I think because we did it in such a small theater, the audience was right there. And that's, the beauty of theater is that you get that initial reaction, right? Like if you're funny, if you're scary, if something works or doesn't work, right? You don't get to call cut and do it again. And I think with horror, because the proximity between us as actors and to the audience, we got to play with that. In that last show that I'm talking about, there was a whole scene in the dark, and it was all just playing with us and our voices, and nothing truly happened in the audience, but I think you could just hear it. You can hear the whole audience going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And, we knew people in the audience, so it was kind of fun to be like, oh, that's my friend. Oh, that's my cousin. They're freaking out, and, nothing happened, but the scariness of like, you don't know what happens in the dark, we got to play with. So I thought that was really fun.
When theater, once it's released, once you're open, it's kind of, you give it to the audience. And that scene that Mella's referring to, that was completely in the dark, we had a flashlight that kind of guided everyone's eyes to what we wanted them to see. And I remember the first show that we did, there's a moment where, a hand kind of slithers out of view, and we didn't quite get the reaction that we were hoping for. And we did like a quick adjustment the next week. and the audience went crazy. And it was such a fun thing to learn on the fly because I know you're not supposed to change things once you open, but when you're self-producing and you know everyone in the cast and everyone's a family, you can kind of together figure out how best to maximize the audience's enjoyment of the show.
Mm.
And I think that was a really fun kink that we fixed in the
Yeah.
moment, and the next show was our best audience yet, I thought.
That's why God invented previews.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's the great thing about previews. Yeah, we did 222, a ghost story over at the Amundsen. It was really fun for me to be in those audiences and to watch the audience react in exactly the ways we expected them to. It was almost like Alfred Hitchcock talked about how he wanted an organ where you could just push certain keys and the audience would react, and kind of as a metaphor for his filmmaking. And so there were very specifically crafted moments in that show where the audience reacted on cue in a way that was kind of like, it was just really fun to watch it happen every night exactly the way it was supposed to happen, and to watch them kind of like respond to the tricks that were being done in a really kind of authentic way for their experience, but in a way that was entirely like kind of built into the show.
Right.
So it's sort of, so it's like knowing how that organ was played and then watching it played to perfection was really sort of delightful. And it's something you do get in horror and comedy, I think, more than other genres.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're actually doing Paranormal Activity in the fall, so we're gearing up for our second horror play.
We will be there.
Excited.
Yeah,
We're so
I'm
excited.
glad to have you both there. Yeah, it'll be fun. But no, we're really, really excited about that. So I love the genre. So I guess you kind of answered this, but obviously horror is not a genre that theater is known for in this country. Why did you choose why did you choose theater as the vehicle for telling this story? Like, why tell it on stage? Why not tell it as a web film? Why not tell it as a short film?
I love a challenge. I'm a Taurus. And I like taking on a challenge. And it was something, I think I like writing things that are kind of a twist on things that I love, but something I've never seen before. And marrying those two genres or two experiences, a horror movie and a server's experience, I feel like there's a remove with the camera. And there are some fantastic movies about working in a restaurant. Boiling Point came out in 2021. Really great one take film about working in a restaurant one night in UK. And I thought, what if you could just be in the audience with that? What if you could just follow along with those people in the worst moments of their shift? And with a camera, there's edits, there's cuts, there's different takes, and with theater, it's all there. There's nothing like the energy from an audience member or from an entire audience just kind of agreeing to go on the ride with you and take that journey. And so I thought that lent itself really well to a theater experience, something that film, which I love, can't always achieve.
Just from Ra'Shawn, which from what you're saying, just do you feel like this is, in a sense, both the immersive experience and the horror experience are a response to both COVID and to streaming? I mean, what you're doing is so completely undoable interior to a purely observer context. I mean, part of the point of this is to have the audience participate, no?
Yeah, exactly. And there's moments where we interact with the audience. We're not pulling anyone on stage or throwing blood on the audience. I would love to do that, but we're not doing it. But they're an active participant as much as the 10 cast members on stage. The show wouldn't work without the audience as that 11th character. And I think if you're not going to include the audience in that experience, then put it on film. But making sure that they're involved and that they're guessing every moment and that they're as stressed as the servers on stage, that's why you choose to do it in a theater. And especially the Zephyr really enhances that experience where we're just surrounded. They're surrounded and we're surrounded, and it's just this communal moment.
Yeah, it's interesting to me how many of LA's intimate houses are in unconventional audience configurations. I mean, a lot of them are just straight up black box or prosceniums, but a lot of black boxes, a lot more thrusts. It usually has to do with the weird architecture where they shove the space into. But the Zephyr, like Theater 40, there's a lot that are like in these weird audience configurations that lend themselves to this. So why Fringe? Why kind of have Fringe as the opportunity to produce this?
I mean, Fringe in and of itself, it's an open access festival. Anyone can join, whether it's a solo show, a magic show, a 10-person ensemble. Uh, they really drive home the idea of community. And that's at the heart of the show. It's about community and finding your people and supporting one another. And there's a lot of tension and anger between the characters on stage, but at the end of the day, it's about the support and making sure that everyone has each other's backs. And that's been something really beautiful to explore as we've promoted and networked with people who are putting up shows by themselves and people who have, an entire live band. There's a great show that's sharing the space with us. There's so many opportunities for so many different stories to be told. And we almost put this show up about 6 or 7 months ago, and it just wasn't, the timing wasn't right. And Fringe was coming up, and I thought, let's jump into this head first and do everything possible we can do that Fringe offers. And it also kind of cultivates that experience as a producer and shows you avenues that you probably didn't know were available.
And you've performed at Fringe before, right? You've both
I
performed.
have, yeah.
I have
You
not.
have not performed at Fringe before.
I have not. Mm-mm.
So this is your first kind of Fringe experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first one.
What is the process of actually producing a show within the Fringe Festival like? Because this is something I produced. I used to run the Powerhouse, which is a theater that doesn't exist in Santa Monica. That was like your classic LA 99-seat plan theater back when the plan existed. I think you guys have been in LA long enough to know what the 99-seat plan is. Yeah. That was that intimate theater, but predated the Fringe Festival. So I had a kind of good feel for what the pros and cons of that experience were. But I'd love to know, like, what is it like from sort of from start to finish to participate in the Fringe Festival, from the process of finding a theater to kind of signing up for the festival through the sort of experience of producing with others. Just sort of talk me through what that experience is.
Yeah, you start in about late November, early December. You just create a page. They encourage you to just put your project out there, whether you're going to do it or not. And then all these kind of avenues and access is made available for you on the website. You do have to register with the Fringe Festival, and then you become a part of this 300 show community. And then the resources just kind of pour out. They give you about 2 to 3 months to find a venue, and Carmella and we just went up and down Santa Monica. There is a grid, a space you have to be within that grid. I think it's from Santa Monica. There's a small area where all the theaters kind of converge. And you choose your venue. Everything is provided for you, but you do everything step by step on your own. And they really want you to be as self-produced as possible while providing you with things that help you along the way.
Like, what do they provide you with?
They provide you with promotion opportunities, advertising. You can advertise on their website. They encourage you to write your own press release and then send that out to different articles and news stations, Broadway World. Their workshops like once or twice a week where they talk about fundraising, they talk about budgeting, they give you opportunities to showcase your project with cabarets, take like a 10-minute clip of 10-minute concise beat of your show. I just did something last week where I recorded 10 seconds with my favorite line from the show in costume. And they put that out there as they call it the oh my gosh, lightning round. So all the shows, there was like 20 or 30 shows that all just had 10 seconds of their favorite line. And so they really hammer home how much of a self-produced effort this is. There's scholarship opportunities. They really drive home diversity and inclusion for LGBTQIA+, for BIPOC artists, for trans artists, for women. And it's really, really inclusive and really open and welcoming.
So what have you kind of learned about being a producer that you didn't necessarily know before this experience?
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't do it by yourself. And I know, you might see, oh, he wrote it and directed, he's in it. But I didn't do any one of those things by myself. I've been writing this show for about 2 years, and everyone that's on stage has been at every table read. They've had input at every rehearsal. Actors are doubling as makeup artists, special effects artists. There's actors who are co-directing, actors who are doing stage combat and helping with those really difficult scenes. It's a beast of a project, but there's no way I could do a one-man show and just be there by myself talking about what it's like to serve in Los Angeles. But the fact that all 10 of us are together and we're mounting this project and telling this story together is really what I think the Fringe vision is all about.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Carmella, so since you've acted in shows before this, but that weren't part of Fringe, what's it like from your perspective gearing up for the production as an actor? Is there a difference in being part of the festival? Is it largely the same experience?
It's a little different because doing another show, so previously it was Ra'Shawn's show that was just independent. There's like no rules as to like no guidelines. It's just like, he rented a theater, we're in there for a allotted amount of time, we get to play. With Fringe, they have their guidelines. So because we, like he said, there's over 300 shows across different theaters. I think the Zephyr is doing 20 shows. Is that right?
18.
18, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we are all slotted into certain dates. So one, we can't pick our show dates. We can tell the theater which ones we want, and hope to get those. Like we definitely wanted Friday the 13th, the late show, because it's a horror. And so we got that. But other dates we necessarily couldn't get. So we don't always have like Friday, Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 3. So we're all over kind of the map with that. And then we have a 15-minute load in and a 15-minute load out, and we have to be at a strict 60 minutes with our show. So that is kind of interesting because, it's tight. Like we have to like be on our time, on our toes with everything. Whereas like at another show, at another venue, it's just like, well, if we run over by 5 minutes, if we hold curtain, it's fine. This we can't. And I think too, it's fun. It's kind of a little nerve-wracking in the sense that like a lot of our audience, as far as like our friends and our family, are not theater people. So we learned from our last show, we were holding the door a lot. And with this one, it's like, hey friends, you got to be here at this time. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like the difference there. It's more so like the guidelines, but as far as like, technique and acting and everything, it's similar.
How much time do you have to tech?
We all combined will have 7 hours of tech.
Jesus Christ. This isn't a simple show.
Okay, no, Derek, you have to explain the Jesus Christ on that because I'm not the theater person here. Why is that?
Tech is like 2 or 3 days usually. So tech is a process by which you integrate all of the technical elements in with the performers. And depending on the size and scale of your show, it's a weekend, it's a couple days, it's a day, it's 7 hours is not a lot of time, because you have to make sure sort of on the extreme end. I've been parts of musicals where I've spent 7 hours to get through the first 30 or 40 seconds of a show. Obviously, that's right, when you have a very full design team of really, really fussy people. But it's like, it's just not a lot of time. So I guess that's what kind of fascinates me is that you've obviously picked a show that is not a simple show technically. It seems to have certain challenges. How do you fit that into the kind of Fringe guidelines? Like, how do you make a show that requires effects and requires, obviously, I'm assuming there's a fairly integrated light plot. Are you using projections at all, or is it really just lights and sound?
Just lights and sound.
Yeah, good, because projections you'd never tech in 7 hours. Your projector would die and you'd be stuck the whole time. But how do you kind of get all of that, the full vision of the show in this context? We have to get the show in and out so quickly and also kind of have such a limited time to kind of tech in the venue.
The Zephyr has been pretty amazing. We did an orientation with all 18 shows about 3 weeks ago. and we were assigned our tech individual, and I got to meet with him. He's amazing. And we did a paper tech. We just went page by page, and every light cue, every sound cue, we just went through. And he said he's really excited to um, tech the show. We are teching tonight as of this
Oh,
recording.
so we'll see how it goes.
Yes.
But I thought I went into that meeting thinking that I was asking for so much, and he was so adaptable and commendable for how, you know, how easy he thought it would be. So, there are a lot of things where we have to get creative with blood and kills and chases, but this is the exciting part for me because it's all going to come together, and I'm going to be like, oh, I'm not crazy. It works. It looks
And
good on
in terms,
stage.
in terms of the physical production, is it mostly kind of limited to sort of ground plan with furniture on stage? Are you able to do more than that? Like, how much of a set are you able to really use?
It's minimal. They do try to encourage you to be as simplistic as possible. Let the script tell the story. I didn't fully listen to that, so it's a little complicated. But I think we've simplified it as much as possible. And there's a couple of furniture pieces on set that don't move, and then a few things that do kind of come on and off. But for the most part, it's a locked in set.
I would say it's more prop heavy than it is furniture heavy.
Insanely prop heavy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just getting your props set up would take more than 15 minutes usually, I would think. But are you working with a stage
We
manager
did
on
it
the
in
show?
5 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have a stage manager on the show as well?
We do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good for the save your ass there.
Yeah.
That's the person you're driving crazy.
Right.
That's
all,
awesome.
yeah.
So
But
what
is it a grand no? I mean, should the audience expect like a future thing where like getting jets of blood and I mean, or is this something understated? I mean, to what extent are you guys playing with illusion? To what extent are you guys playing with grotesquity?
Uh, Gore is present in the show. The audience is safe this go around. If we get a chance to mount it with a larger production, don't sit on the front row. But for now, it's minimal and it's implied, but also in a creative way. There's a lot of blood, and the gore is something that Carmella and I have worked on, and it looks gnarly, and I'm really excited for people to see those moments of things that they'll leave the theater thinking about. I can't believe how did they do that, or I can't believe they went there. Or, that person's head flew off. Like it's things that are fun for lovers of the genre.